Why not?
She looked at me. Just what we needed. She's delirious, but she speaks the truth. She knew.
What?
More enemies. She's delirious, but she speaks the truth. She knows she can't channel the power of the red. It is too great then, even for a transcendent. But we can't make the same mistake that Armina did. We can't wait for them to wither and die, or it will be our end as well. The crystal is exposed! It brims with raw chaotic energy. We must hit her with all we got. We struck as one. As if we didn't have our hands full already. We shall resist, sister. Toyed with their lives, just as he did with ours. If we get out of this alive, he will have much to answer for. Sister, be careful! She focused all her power in her fist. I'll give her no quarter. Huh?
That may have been a mistake, but I guess this does good damage to resilient enemies. So this is awful, right?
Jugal will be thrilled to see this.
Why do you fight me? I'm not the one who took your lives away.
I don't know what you can do this for. We'll learn as we go, as always. Finally, you're mine.
I've been looking forward to this.
Well, that was useful.
I'm tired of your meddling. Now taste my power.
Her crystal pulses with the dark energy of the medic.
Isn't she doing exactly what Jugal wanted?
She will bring forth the Soulstice of Souls.
But then we're running out of time.
What is it you want to accomplish?
It didn't have to go this way.
We're more latent.
Focus.
All this time, I have felt wrong, weak. No more.
I'll give her no quarter. Huh?
Fade away.
There's no way we can stop her attack. If she hits us now, we'll be done for. You're too crazed to understand the damage you've done. There's only one way to end this.
I will destroy you if it's the last thing I
Still stands. How
It doesn't matter, and you know it. We fight on as always.
It's our chance, sister. I'm with you, sister.
Frame rate when I do this stack low. What the fuck is that? That's ridiculous. I saw it go to 35 frames on that attack low.
He did all he could to prepare his loot.
Funny.
Now it's up to us.
Performance just casually presses by half on that
She's
camera
about to
swap.
hurl it at us.
Then
Your power is nothing compared to mine. Nothing.
Is Leighton watching us? If we fall, how can we see any other witness?
We won't fall. And even if he told our story, no one would believe him. Finally, you're mine.
It didn't have to go this way.
We'll mourn Leighton. Now focus.
you know, I haven't taken a hit yet. I wonder how long that's gonna go. I jinxed myself immediately by saying that. Let me guess.
Just going to happen. And you know it.
Sister, the crystal. Shatter any minute.
I hoped that she would deplete the power of the
That could be a Parna.
No. Our fight has only caused it to grow. And once it's released,
We'll take it.
no! We'll be annihilated!
Loot, we managed to absorb the crystals of the other chimeras. Even before we transcended ourselves, I know that we can make it. But I'll need your help.
It's crazy. But it could work. It has.
Up, there we go. Animation. I knew it was gonna be some animation, but it's gonna get me stuck.
You really want things to go back to normal.
Oh well.
Pain and humiliation. You want things to stay that way.
Finally, you're mine. We have to win this battle.
For all those we love. For our parents. For Donovan.
I will not go down with a whimper.
But you will go down, so whatever.
She looks strong for one about to break.
It's blind rage. She's no longer aware of what is happening to her.
Chooses precious loyalty over action. I will do the same.
It's our chance, sister. Please.
Sweet 35 frames.
We're past the time for words.
Why do you fight me?
We got Havoc here, maybe?
I'm not the one who took your lives away.
Well, I think dear fucking god, what the fuck is that? I have gotten all diamond on these battle results so rarely that I remember most of them. Because I get them so rarely on every single one. And, okay. I'm gonna have to say something about this fight. This was by far the most enjoyable boss fight in this game for me. And by a long shot as well. I really like this fight. It's like a pretty perfect mix of how to make a boss fight that is both thematic as well as challenging on top of that. Or not like too challenging, but challenging enough that it's interesting all the time. Yeah, very fine boss. You wouldn't see something like this in a Souls-like game, but on like a normal game, as a thematic boss that is supposed to be cool and interesting, yeah, this was definitely my favorite boss fight in the game for sure. Would definitely do that boss again anytime.
It's finally happening.
If the crystal explodes, the tear will extend.
So what will happen if we try to eat it?
And Dougal will have what he wants.
We have already made our decision. We must absorb the crystal. We'll be dead anyway if we don't.
I'm thinking like quick time events when I see this stuff, but there's not.
Damn!
You can't stop me! My death will be my victory!
Loot! We can't break her hold! We must shatter the crystal. Now!
Keepers watch over us. Freya!
You blasted fool!
I think we just became permanently transcendent now. Because
Just an act. It changes nothing.
they are the shattered part of her crystal.
Here and now. One day, you'll understand. This world cannot be saved. We cannot be saved. The end is our only way out. You are just setting us free. While you remain trapped in your cage. Honor, wait for me.
Is this Ilden now? Why are we white, by the way?
Judge, forgive me. What happened? My head hurts and spins in equal measure. Briar! Lute! Is it you? It happened again.
Yes. But do not worry for us, Nathan. Not for now, at least. How do you feel? Do you remember?
The last thing I recall was Donovan making his way to the relic. Poor soul. I can't but feel pity for him, and even for his daughter. Anyway, then came a blast, and I blacked out. I suppose that's when you...
Transcended? Yes. Eventually. Once Hannah gave in to the destruction within her, we had no other choice.
Between death and transcendence, a chimera chooses death. Those sounded like wise words. At the time, it looks like I was the fool. But the tear is no more. How did you seal it?
We didn't exactly seal it. We drained the relic of its power.
So that now, that power lies within you.
This fall. Our corrupted blood must be helping us contain it. We do not know exactly how, or for how long, or what would happen should we turn back to our previous selves.
The situation is dire, and the danger is great. Yet again, what you did, I can't but thank the Keepers for. No, I have to thank you for it.
So what do you propose? What course of action should we take now?
Hide. Survive. Try to adapt to this new condition of yours. While you draw breath, there is still hope for this world, and for Dougal's plan to be thwarted. The two things are strictly related. As for me, I will send word to Rhyme. I will set up my stage once more. They shall be surprised to see that I still stand. Or simply disappointed.
Won't it be dangerous for you?
They would come for me anyway. I'd rather be their first target instead of you. I can buy you some time. If things go my way, I may even be able to help you. But I can't make any promises.
At least promise that you'll be careful.
I will.
We'll do the same. Farewell, Ethan.
May the Keepers watch over you, my friends.
I don't know what to say. I feel like I'm gonna be honestly... Okay. Remember when I said that one YouTube review said that they really had to see like a sequel to this? Well, now I understand why. I already kind of guessed that something like this was going to go down. Where, like, the transcended form that we are able to just resist as, like, Briar and Loot was going to play a big role as to why that sequel would be interesting, but now the stage is truly set. It doesn't make any sense for the devs not to try to do a sequel to this. They did so much setup there that could make a very interesting sequel. Like, nothing is like concrete by any means, but they left themselves like a big opening to do a sequel to this game. And it doesn't feel like a conclusion, that's the thing. Like, the tear was sealed, but the power is inside, like, Briar and Loot now. So, like, it's not like it's exactly conclusion, it's just the story of what happens next to the tear or its effects, its after effects is ongoing. It's in flux. So this is not really a conclusion. So they are probably planning on making a sequel. This game was made in 2022 or released in 2022, so I would imagine it takes at least a few years to make a sequel to this, even if they were planning to do it all the way from the release of this game, or before, I mean, which is likely the case. I hope. I remember I said in one of my highlights in somewhere in the early mid-game area that I really hope this game gets a sequel because of how, like, lovely the cadence combat is. I fully stand behind that. And actually I fully stand behind everything I said to that point in the game. It's just... Okay, here's the thing. This game became very fun to play again after we went inside the church area, basically, or the chapel. After we went inside the chapel and we continued basically from the prologue moment where Briar and Loot first time transcended willingly. That is the moment where I actually felt like this game is fun again. Big Soulstice fan here, seems like I arrived just in time to be way too late. Dude, you have no idea. Like, some random person in chat, or Churde Oro, whoever you are now, Mr. Chatter. Like, if you came here, like, say, few hours ago when I was playing like this super late game, Soulstice fan, you say? Okay, well, I don't need to explain to you as to why this game would be good, obviously. Like, I've given my opinions of this game already, but I mean, I guess I might just talk about some of them as well. Let's continue. So, yeah, this game continued or became fun again after Briar and Loot willingly transcended there when we went inside the chapel. Like, that's the point where the game became fun again. There was like this, like, chapter maybe 20 to like 16 when we went on the high wall and we killed Jaden and Jared. Like, after we killed Jaden and Jared, there was like these few chapters after where it was literally just misery. Those chapters are just the peak of anti-fun of this new game cycle. At least on this first playthrough that I just did. And yeah, this is my first playthrough if you're interested, that you just saw the very end of. Yeah, those chapters fucking sucked ass. But this game was actually very fun to play until like chapter 16 or so. Chapters 1 to 16, I would say this game is very good. And then chapters 16 to 20 or whatever the fuck, before the inside the chapel and the first time transcending after killing Armina. Those few chapters there in between were absolute ass to play. And then after that, it became really fun again. So there's just... The encounter design in this game is so suffocating. Like, there is just too many enemies with instant punishing attacks that you cannot just parry with loot all the time. So with the game trying to like encourage you to do combos so often with all the weapon switches. Like, it's very hard to actually commit into doing any combos when so often you have to permanently dodge within a few seconds or so every time, when there's so many enemies doing attacks that you cannot parry with loot, so you have to actually dodge as prior. So you can't just sit there and continue with a combo that you had in mind to do. So you have to cancel that combo and then just basically do like short combos instead, because enemies are just attacking you from all sides. And I mean, you can't even parry everything on loot in the first place. Like, if enough enemies attack you at the same exact time, loot literally cannot like parry like 7 attacks at the same time. Like back to back to back to back, yes, but not like literally on like the same game tick. Like, you have to actually just dodge as prior then, you know? And then obviously you have the instant punishing attacks where like there's this like yellow or orange aura that some of the enemies do. They're stronger enemies when you get close to them, and then they just basically instant punish you and you cannot parry that as prior, or as loot, I mean. So you have to like dodge instead of continue your combos or whatever. But my point is that because of how dense the encounters in this game are, and how like rather annoying the enemy placement is with what they choose to put in some of the encounters, especially late game encounters in particular is what I mean. Like chapter 16 to like super late game, anywhere from there, like they put so many fucking like super annoying like NPCs, like those electric wraith bullshitters, or like the one of those like possessed ranged enemies with the spears that cast like their mage spells. They put those in combination with each other and some normal enemies, and it's actually just so suffocating to try to play. You get like literally 2 seconds of breathing room where you have to decide what you exactly do, and then you just have to dodge again, and you just rinse and repeat that until you have at least like only one of those like big enemies on the field anymore, and then you can like, you know, combo more and like be more creative, but before that you have so little time. That does not hold true for chapters like 1 to 16 though. In those chapters, the game is much more generous with what it puts in the encounters, so you usually always have more time to think with what you do, and there's more freedom to like express like your combinations of like different combos that you might think of on the fly. So like those few chapters in between there, late game, like those really like, they really very, very strongly made me not like this game at that point. But overall, if we ignore just those few chapters, I would say that this game is good. Or rather, saying that it's just good isn't enough, honestly though. I guess I would have to say that the game is very good, yeah. I think I can see why you're the first to say about the monastery levels. I've seen other people say that the middle of or the beginning was the lowest point because it feels like slowed down too much. Middle or beginning was the lowest point. Oh yeah, the monastery levels, exactly. Those are the chapters I was exactly talking about. Immediately after Jaden and Jared fight, the monastery levels were complete ass to play. Wait, there's something going on, hold up. They are setting up the sequel even harder, I think, here. Is that Corvo? Oh, it is Corvo, what the fuck? Wait, this is prequel. No, it's not, because he has no mask on.
What are you doing here? I thought I'd never see you again. The torchbearer led you back to me at a most convenient time. I have a very important message for you to deliver. There you go now. To Rhyme.
How unfortunate. I took it for a corrupted creature, and my instinct got the best of me.
I almost forgot that she existed. We saw her in one of the memories in Donovan's head.
After all, who could roam these ruins, if not one that carries their taint? You must have a good reason to be here, alive.
Cordelia? Cordelia the Reaper. I'm sorry, milady, but the chimeras that came before you, they're no more. I'm afraid you're too late.
I'm gonna continue with my thoughts if you're willing to hear them
Well,
after
maybe
this is
I
done.
was right on time. What lies did you write in that letter? Where are they?
Don't be so reckless, my sweet Reaper. Once the torchbearer takes them, the dead can only tell us so much. I will have a friendly conversation with our devoted observer. While you give chase to Beriah and loot.
They won't stand a chance, Your Grace.
Approach them with that attitude, and you'll face the judge in no time.
I think he
It's not
probably
time
knows.
Yet, follow them.
How strong Briar and
learn
Loot are
what
now.
they're capable of. Then report back to me.
As Your Grace commands.
So, Leighton, I assume your letter was addressed to me. Speak then. What did you wish to tell the Grand Master of the Ashen Blade? You know that you were meant to die here with all the others. Did you expect that I would fall for any of your pretentious tales?
Let us speak the truth for once, then. They stopped you, Dougal. Admit it. The outcasts did what no one believed possible, including me.
Those peasants did exceed my expectations, yes. But all they have accomplished is just a small setback. A detour from a path that cannot be abandoned.
But why? What did you hope to accomplish here?
You would not understand, or anyone else in your sanctimonious triarchy.
I don't
But you
understand
do
either.
need
Can you
to.
explain?
It suffices that you recite your beloved canticle. The three cities still stand to this day, for the glory of the Keepers.
Are those tears of Adoran and Rhyme? Dougal,
Okay.
You madman! What have you done?
The Soulstice of Souls is upon us.
I think this might be a From Software case, this game. You know how From Software, like, when they have ever made a sequel to, like, you know, Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3, or, like, when they, like, make the next game or something, they don't really say anything, like, publicly. They just, like, work on the background, and then eventually they just create, like, a masterpiece or something. I feel like this game is doing that right now. They are setting the sequel so fucking hard, and yet probably nobody online has any idea what the hell this studio is doing. And then in like maybe 1 year from now or something, there's just gonna be Soulstice 2 release trailer or something. I hope. Because they are so heavily teasing this sequel that they were definitely designing a sequel to this game immediately when they were designing this first game too. Like, it's very obvious. Anyway, holy shit, you writing a lot. Super fast projectiles on the stingers and quick projectiles on shriekers, normal flying zombies. The courses, three-headed bosses are an event in their own. I see what you meant with those. Electric wraiths? I think between... No, those electric wraiths are literally just badly designed enemies. They are not fun to fight alone, and they are not fun to fight when there's a group of enemies either. Because the only time when I have found an opening on them is when they don't have the barrier with the electricity visual. If they have the barrier normally, then you can go hit the barrier off. But if they have the barrier with the electric visual, then you take damage if you go close to them. And If you parry them with loot and they still have the electric barrier around them, then you still can punish them. So you just parry them and then you just sit and watch them play. And that's about it, really. And if the electric barrier goes away and it's just a normal barrier after you parry them, or best if the barrier just goes away after you parry them, then you can go punish them. Which is hard enough said, because they keep dashing as well as just fucking straight up teleporting around the encounters every time when you get anywhere nearby them. So actually finding any time or window to punish them is incredibly infuriating. Like, they are literally just badly designed. Like, there is no excuse for that enemy. But the three-headed possessed enemies, I think those enemies are actually just, they are just challenging, tough enemies, but they are totally fine. Like, their design is actually more fair. They are totally fine enemies, because you actually get to hit them, and it's pretty easy to understand what they do also. You can see all the visuals very clearly on the enemy as well. And you also get plenty of attacks to parry also. And they don't fucking teleport all the time. That's another plus. I'm glad you despise your easy speaking still Soulstice fondly. Cute bird. There's such a good production value in animation and camera angles as well. Oh yeah, there's something I actually haven't mentioned about this game all too much. Well, I did mention it when I first started, but you as a new viewer definitely have not heard this. I think this game captures how you... Actually, let me rephrase that. I think this game's developers know very well how to capture action. Or like cinema. That's something that was very well done in this game. Like, when there's some kind of like an action moment, or like sequence of events, or like transitory period, like the developers in this game know pretty much exactly how to capture style. Like, that is something that I very strongly appreciate when developers get it correct. Like, it's very thematic, looks insanely cool, and it just doesn't feel off at all. Like, another game that doesn't do it correct, but is otherwise a very good game, is Ghost of Tsushima. If you have played Ghost of Tsushima ever, then you know that the presentation on a lot of stuff, especially the stuff that is not like, you know, fully main quest, but even the main quest stuff, it's a AAA like Sony production game, obviously, Sony release, so. Like, the presentation in a lot of stuff in that game is not done well at all. Like, it's actually quite sore. But this game, like, knew how to capture style with the cinematics that this game has. Now, the character rigging, in the other hand, is very, like... It's very, like... what is the word? Rudimentary in this game? Is that the word? Yeah. Like, it's not very refined. Like, I basically just accept that as it is. It's a AA game, it's whatever. Like, if they try to like tell like a very emotional story or something, then this kind of character rigging would not work. But this game is not exactly trying to be too emotional. It's kind of like you're supposed to kind of like read or listen to the story a lot more. It's kind of like Nier Automata in that sense. Like, for people who like are more inquisitive when it comes to finding ways to understand the storytelling of a game, like, games like this are better for those people. So, than people who want to like fully only immerse themselves on what they see and hear, you know? It's kind of like well, actually, with Nier Automata as one example, like, when I started Nier Automata for the first time, I was actually slightly confused as to why they didn't voice act the dialogue on a lot of characters in Nier Automata. But there's actually a very good reason as to why, and it's not actually even a financial reason as to why. You know, when you, like, read a book, like a very thick, like, I don't know, like a 1,000 to 500 page, like, fantasy book or something, and you basically hear, like, or see and read all the thoughts that the characters have, and honestly, obviously their dialogue and everything. So you form like a picture of the characters in your head, what they look like, what they like feel like in the moments where they describe stuff, and you know, you get to like imagine a lot of what you read, right? Well, it turns out when you don't voice act like dialogue in video games. When some video games do it very correctly, like Nier Automata does, like actually having the dialogue in Nier Automata not voice acted actually enhances the game's experiences. Because that means that when you read something that the characters say, you can more so imagine them in your head, the implications of what you are reading, because you are not distracted by how they say something and in what cadence they say something, because you are reading it, you are consuming it into your own head by just reading the letters on the screen. So you basically form like your own like imagination of what this sentence means and how it was possibly said, and what kind of like conviction does the character have when they are saying this, or you know, all that stuff. It's more so like, that's why books are something that people love to read, you know, a lot of the time, especially like really like old-time people that don't like watching like movies or playing video games as much. They always appreciate books so much because they are so great for imagination. Well, it turns out when you have your main way of storytelling in a video game being text rather than what you hear or see, it can sometimes be like a massive plus for a game. But yeah, that's anyway off topic, but that's just, you know, another idea. There are messages on Replies Game Studios Twitter on the last month or two where they speak of hiring new people, level design positions. I appreciate the technical look on the enemies. The choruses remind me of God of War Chimera in a way, though the way they change their attacks with each health threshold you pass. Choruses? What enemy is the chorus then? I don't know where this is gonna kick me off. Right, so there's only 25 chapters here. I thought there was gonna be like 35. Wait, what is this? What is this? Wait, what? Oh, right, it's the next fucking difficulty. I was so fucking confused what the hell this was. I thought this was gonna turn into Nier Automata for a second when I was looking at these difficulty options. I forgot that this is actually difficulty option. I thought it was like, you know, now we play as like a transcendent Briar and Loot from the start again for a moment. Like, I just had a small like thought in my mind that that was gonna happen. Yeah, I don't think so. That would have been quite something. Is there no New Game Plus in this game? It doesn't seem like it. You just play like the old chapters again if you want. Oh yeah, actually, funny thing about that. Now that you have everything unlocked, if you go to the first chapter, do you just have everything unlocked when you do this? You can just transcend in the fucking docks of Ilden. That seems very fair. Have you read the bestiary information? No, I haven't read all of them. I have read a lot of them, but not all. I wonder what the platinum for this game is. Like, I was thinking for a moment that I might platinum this game. I was. And now I'm honestly even more like on the edge of I don't know if I wanna do it or not. You have every... Wait, what? Wait, so... Tell me, if I go on Chimera now, on this Chimera playthrough, and I go to the first chapter, do I just have everything unlocked here? Or did you refer to, you know, if I go back on the night difficulty and go one of these, then I'm just gonna have everything unlocked for like these 3 difficulties here? I mean, I'm just gonna test it myself and see what happens, obviously, but like, you know, if you are willing to tell randomly, then I will take it. What? On all difficulties, you keep the weapon upgrades and the transcendence. Seriously? So if I just go here now on Chimera difficulty, I just have everything unlocked. What? Very interesting way to balance the difficulties. So is there no way to do like Chimera or Transcendent playthrough from like a +0 character that you have nothing on? It's a lot of stuff here. Wait, what the fuck? There's so much stuff here that the game didn't tell me about the Transcendent state. Right, I'm just gonna have to fuck around with this a little bit, I think. To remove all skills from loot. Ah, that sounds like complete AIDS. I think I'm gonna pass. That cannot be fun to play. And I'm not gonna say that because the game is much more difficult than obviously, but this game is fundamentally a hack and slash game where the game heavily wants to encourage the player to use combos in encounters. So what happens if you take all the fucking upgrades out? Well, you basically have to like poke like 3 attacks, then dodge, poke 3 attacks, dodge, poke 3 attacks, dodge. And that's the entire game basically, because you can only parry like 2 things at the same time on loot without like upgrades or something. So I think I will pass. I think some other like masochist might want to do that for some YouTube content, but that cannot be fun. Very important thing about challenge running is that it has to be actually fun for you personally. If there's no other game to be had, then if it's not personally fun for you for whatever reason you're doing it, then don't do it. This Cordelia person gets a lot of uplift for the coming sequel for sure. Like we see her in Donovan's dream or in his mind memories, and now we see her both in the codex as well as in the ending credit cutscene. The upgrade where the field vulnerability lasts for a few seconds after an enemy leaves field only appears. I'm not even sure if I have that myself, by the way. That upgrade you're talking about. In the 5th skill tree. I think I have one of those, but I'm not entirely sure if I have exactly that one. Also, I can literally just start a new... Wait, if I start a new game right now... Yeah, I can just do new game on Chimera. What the fuck do you mean? Like, this is the way to do it. Like, I can just go here and start Chimera. And this is basically with +0 everything. But if I go here and I start it, then this is probably new game scaling, I guess. This, if it, like, keeps my gear. That's how that works. But honestly, I think with this game, it might be probably more fun to just go new game plus with everything I already have. Like, you know... So many skills and combos are just, you know, when you don't have that, it's not as fun. It's like playing God of War, like on New Game Plus or with each like New Game cycle, but without having the skills. It's pretty mundane for the first few hours, so it's kind of boring. We started my first battle against Armina. I had the grappling hook for the whip, would have made phases 2 and 3. You know what's funny? Actually, I'm gonna end the stream after I'm, like, done saying what I wanna say, but, like, I need to show you something because of what you just said. I think it's maybe here? Oh wait, no, it's not here. Yeah, I had Streamlabs do some funny stuff today. Some random cuts. Okay, can I meet this? Right. This should probably not. Hold up. I'm gonna add the music. Okay, now maybe works. Yeah, I think now you can hear the game sound too. Or, well, the clip sound. Okay, let's get the phase 2 and 3, the one that you were just talking about. I also didn't notice it immediately. But after, well, not even a few attempts, after some attempts. If we can now get to it, that is. This phase is the one you're talking about. Incredibly fucking annoying fight, by the way. Half of this fight, you are just chasing her around. I think the fight, like, thematically, is very cool and fun. But there's way too much running around in this. What? You cheese the platforming section with the bow? No, I did not. Some attempts I did, and some attempts I didn't. Dependent on mood. Not really anything else. Also, it's time-based, I think. Because one try, I didn't hit her once, and she just decided to come down eventually. So I think it's literally just time-based. You could literally just chill in the bottom, not do anything, and she just eventually will just fall down. I think. But that's like one attempt I had that happen, so... make whatever you... from that. But yeah, this is the whip upgrade you were just talking about, right? Like, this actually is incredibly handy in this sport. The normal thrust attack on the sword doesn't go far enough. And it's all, you can't also aim it too well. So this whip is significantly better for this. But also, I have to show you another thing, just because. Time when I... wait a minute, where the fuck? Oh right, it's in this fucking... Obviously it's on this stream still. Fuck. I killed Hana while taking only one hit from her. And I got all diamond on the first playthrough from it. That was very strange. Where is that attempt? Or the kill, I mean. I'm actually curious to see it myself. It's this one. It mainly works when you have lock on. With that you can go from one edge to the map with grapple. Again, I'm being a bit protective of this game, making excuses, but I'm still very glad that you can look back on your experience very fondly. I'm strongly hoping for a solid and good sequel for it. I'm kind of confused about what you just said there at the start. Like, I'm a bit protective of this game and making excuses. Do you mean like you basically just only like people who have played this game and don't like, you know, make excuses for like the game being like too bullshit or something? Because there is some of that in this game, but most of the enemies in this game are well designed. It's mainly just the density of the enemies in the encounters, as well as what combination of enemies there is in the encounters. And then, like, one or maybe two complete outliers when it comes to enemy design. Like the fucking electric breath bullshit, or what is the other one? The bipedal, like, walking possessed enemy with that, like, Left 4 Dead 2, like, charge looking, like, upper body. Like, that enemy is also, like, one of the biggest load of ass to fight, when there's more than just that enemy in the fight. I mean that I kind of react with your criticism by trying to turn it around with good parts on it, trying to make you look back on it more positively. I have developed a thicker skin to react with. That's literally just part of critical thinking. If you are able to take criticism, then that is normal. It's abnormal not being able to take criticism. Wait, why the fuck is... Wait. What? Interesting. Why is this fucking bar here? Disappear, please. Twitch.tv. By the way, I haven't said it yet, but this Hana fight was easily my favorite fight in the game. Like, she's not a ultimately difficult fight or anything. She's not even the most, like, well-designed or anything. But she does one thing incredibly well from a lot of the other bosses in this game that are, like, story-wise important. And not, like, mini-bosses or something. Like, she's interactive a lot of the time. Not all the time. But a great majority of the time there is always something that is down to, like, the player. So it feels like you are in control a lot of the time when you're doing this fight. Which is very important. It's probably the most important thing to have in a boss fight. Is have the player feel like they are most of the time, if not always, in control of something happening in the fight. And then second most important part is... Well, actually, I'm not even sure what the second most important is, but the most important part has to be correct, and this one does it, like, pretty well balanced. It's also a very thematic and cool fight, so there's that. But the first part is the most important, really. There's never really more than, like, 10-second or so period where you, like, don't interact with Hana at all in this fight. While with a lot of the other bosses, like Armina or Jaden in the phase where he fucking goes like laser and spins around, you know, Jaden and Jared. Like, there's a lot of stuff there where you kind of just sit there and you just kind of wait. You are literally just kind of waiting your turn to be able to do something, and it's very boring when the game does that to you. Like, it's very annoying when you just have to kind of just wait and sit there, you know, while dodging some stuff. That is something that so many games just do wrong when they want to create, like, a thematic boss. Or want to create something that is, like, a bit less conventional to fight, you know, just to, like, mix it up a bit. So many devs just don't do that fight. This game is probably one of the closest to do it correct. Like, even though I just said that, like, those parts are annoying, this game is one of the closest ones to do it correct. But it's still not done good enough where I would personally like doing the fights over and over just because it's done well enough. Exception being the Hana fight. Because this fight, I would do this fight anytime again. I really enjoyed playing this fight. When do I take a hit? Oh yeah, by the way,
Fuck is that?
when I do this synergy attack here, my frame rate cuts in half. But you can hardly notice it really because...
What the fuck is that? That's ridiculous.
That's funny. We go from 75 frames on 75 Hz monitor to 35 frames for that synergy attack.
35 frames on that attack low.
I literally just mentioned it also on Bubble. Have you ever heard the Savior from DMC4? Okay, so you need to know something. I have never played Devil May Cry games, and I don't think I ever will play Devil May Cry games. Oh, I'm gonna mute this for a moment. Where the fuck is the mouse? I have never played any of the DMC games, and I don't think I ever will. Like, when they first were making the DMC games, like, I wasn't too interested on Hack&Slash or any of the, like, well, mainly just Hack&Slash, really. Like, side-scrolling or Hack&Slash games. I wasn't too interested on that at the time. And now that I am more, Capcom is the issue. Like, I don't want to keep Capcom any money. Like, I played Dragon's Dogma 2, which was the only mistake I will make when buying any Capcom games. So I will not make the same mistake again. Like, even if the game is good, I will probably not ever play it. Like, any of the DMC games. Just out of spite for that company. For what they made for Dragon's Dogma 2. Like, that game was such an outrageous, like, monotonous, like, boring shit show to play that, like, you know, the entire credibility or interest for buying anything that studio makes just went down the drain immediately on the spot. Unless I pirate the games. You know, if I go pirate their games for free, then I'm gonna go stream them. I think that would be pretty funny. But I'm not gonna buy them even for $2 or something. When is Soulstice 2 gonna come out, though?
Even before you're mine.
For all those we lost.
Oh, I took a hit there. I wonder what that was. Oh, right. I probably stunned... Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
I stalled myself on that one crater.
But it's gonna get me stuck.
The point I want to make is that Savior, a big creature in front of a ledge type boss fight, and is quite infamous. There's many different weak points on its body, but there are many different weak points, and its attacks are quite random. Not all of them leave it open an option for weak spots. Okay, so you're basically making a Melania argument from Elden Ring at this point, and I'm gonna explain that in a moment after I read what you say after. Things all weak spots have to be broken in order to progress. Instead of there being 2 weak spots, they are always hittable, like with Hana. So I think what that, like, game design philosophy comes down to, it's the same as in... Well, I don't know if you have played From Software Souls games, but, like, those are, you know, some of my favorite games I have ever played. So, Dark Souls 3, Sister Freed, if you have ever played that fight, or Elden Ring, if you have played Melania fight. Then you know from those 2 fights that there very often, when you dodge something or counter something from those 2 bosses, that there very often may not be an opening after you counter, like, their move or something, after you dodge or you parry or something. Like, quite a lot of the time, on those 2 bosses in particular, like, you sometimes just have to wait for a better opening before you can get more safer attacks off, or any attacks off, depending what weapon you use. So, that's kind of the argument that you are making there, is just because, like, people aren't creative enough to figure out how to do something, like, they are just gonna rate something, like, falsely negatively, just because they were not, like, smart enough to figure out some of the nuanced mechanics that the bosses have. And I don't think that that honestly is the best argument to use, because most people who play games like don't try hard them. Like, I'm assuming based on what you have said so far, and we are both like looking at a double A like side-scrolling game that is not like on Steam front page and never will be. Like, literally nobody has played this game, so I'm gonna assume that you are probably some tryhard, same as me, pretty much. So for people like us, it's a totally different, like, the understanding of like how these nuanced, like very like specific mechanics for bosses go. Like me, for example, like I am very inquisitive person usually when it comes to this stuff, depending on how interested I am in some game, or you know, how like much I value some game that I'm enjoying, you know. And that also drives very strongly like my inquisitiveness on trying to understand like the very smallest like nuanced game mechanics that there is in all the bosses and like normal combos and anything and everything. But for somebody who is just average and wants to just play a new game just because, you know, they have some money on the side or whatever, some disposable income, and they just buy one of these games and play it, like if you're gonna make the argument that they should know how those nuanced mechanics work, then you are always gonna be at a loss, because the majority of people who are like that will not see eye to eye with people like us. So I don't think that argument is very good. So I would rather change that a little bit, what you just said there earlier. But I totally get what you mean, you know, because we do see eye to eye more. So was my argument quite fallacious because I've never played a DMC game myself. Oh, that's funny. I've been getting very interested in game design for these types of games, but that hardly makes me an expert. That's actually a funny thing too, because I feel like if I was a game designer, I know exactly what I want to have and what especially not to have in like these types of games. Any like RPG games, any like action-based games, hack and slash games. I actually don't play side-scrollers, by the way. This is my first side-scroller that I have played since like... Actually, what even was my last side-scroller? Also, I have not played God of War 1, 2, and 3. But I have seen the entire game being played from start to finish 3 times. So I know the game, the 3 main God of War games from the original trilogy well enough that I can reference them a lot. But I have not actually personally played the 3 games. But what I have played is the God of War 2018, the reboot on the Norse Saga, and God of War Ragnarok. Those 2 games I have played, and those 2 games have the 2 best combat from any game I have ever played in those 2 games. And it's not even close to any other game. If those games are like 10 out of 10 with their combat, then the second closest might be like maybe Bloodborne or Sekiro would be at like 5 maybe. If those are 10 out of 10, then those would be like 5 out of 5, and then all the other games would be like under that. Like the difference is that big, genuinely that big. And if you just take the game's like mechanics on face value of what they are, then it's great combat. But you know, if you know some really nuanced stuff in the games, like the animation cancel stuff, like I do, like the combat in those 2 games is absolutely cracked beyond belief. Like, you would not even imagine, unless you see somebody play who knows that stuff really well, what you're able to do in those 2 games. It's absolutely nuts what you can do in those 2 games. How do you mean side-scroll, if I may ask? That makes me think of 2D games, though I assume that you mean structure is simply straight from... Side-scroller, like... Side-scroller games are basically what Soulstice is. So, it's basically like a it's a 3D game where the camera stays a lot of the time in a fixed position and doesn't trail behind the character. So, you know how in normal like RPG or fantasy games where they have like the third person camera, the camera is following the character like on their shoulder or like few meters like above them, you know? That's a 3-dimensional camera. So 3D game, right? Now side-scroller basically, it's like, you know Resident Evil 1? That's a side-scroller. The camera, when you go into a room, it stays in one spot for the entire room, and then when you move to like a hallway or next room, the camera moves in the next spot. So the camera prefers to stay as still as possible in like a certain scene. Before you move far enough away from it, it resets its position into a new position. That's a side-scroller. So now we know what side-scroller is in video games. And that's what Soulstice does. Soulstice is more lenient with it, sure, but the camera still very, very slowly and lazily drags behind the player character. Like, it stays very far behind usually and gives a very broad view of what happens on the field, and it doesn't follow the player character that well at all. You know, so it definitely counts for a side-scroller because of that. Because, you know, the camera is literally following the player character from the side and scrolling behind the player character. So that's literally where the side-scroller comes from. Like, literally just a combination of the word. But, yeah, I think I'm gonna stop now. I'm gonna go eat something, and I guess if you're gonna randomly come and watch my stream again next time, I'm gonna say it's very high likely that I'm gonna be doing a second playthrough of this game, based off what I just saw in the last 3 hours. Like, those last 3 hours with this game were actually pretty fucking sick. And before you go, may I give some other action game name? Yeah, sure, give. I'm actually consistently looking for new games all the time that I'm like looking for. So yeah, especially if they are like Steam games, like a lot of them are so fucking hard to find. And if they are anything like basically any action game with some fantasy elements, maybe sci-fi elements, where the combat looks like somewhat in-depth or in-depth enough where it would be interesting, and something that just doesn't look like the rest, you know, something that just looks more interesting from like the majority, kind of, you know. Like, here's a small collection of some stuff that I have added recently, well, somewhat recently. We have the first Berserker, Chrono Odyssey, Phantom Blade Zero, Where Winds Meet, Projector Receiver, Black Myth Wukong, obviously, Dragon's Dogma 2 already played, Banisher's already played, Sterile Blade I haven't bought yet, but definitely playing this on stream, absolutely playing this on stream, especially after Nier Automata, looks incredible, like this game. Vindictus Define Fate, 2025 somewhere, I don't know. Hellblade Senua already played. Hellblade 2 I haven't bought yet, but we'll play that on stream. Crimson Desert, it looks very interesting as well. Lost Soul Aside. Ghost of Tsushima, I'm gonna play this on my PS5 that I recently got, probably later. Revisit this. Flintlock also comes later this year. Gwynfall, might play this too. Project Awakening, Awakener Risen, maybe Gothic 1 Remake, and Ballad of Antara. And this is only the games that don't appear on Steam. All of the games that appear on Steam I have added on my Steam wishlist. And any of those games do not show on that list. Actually, wait, no. Black Myth Wukong is actually... I have that game duplicate, actually. I have it on that notepad as well as on Steam. Yeah. Because that game is actually on Steam too. Geno Kids and Enredra are like Soulstice, Clash AoE is like... Number of them I haven't heard. You wanna follow some... Like, you know, actually there's this Gamer Angst channel is something I watch from time to time. As well as just YouTube, like, top 10 lists of, like, upcoming action games. Like, I just scroll those around and then obviously just look around, like, Steam, see, like, what's new there, you know. That usually does it, but there's a lot of games, especially on Steam, that are just so hard to find a lot of the time. Like, the Steam algorithm for these games, Soulstice is actually a great example of this. Like, Soulstice is ridiculously hard to find on Steam. Like, if you actually, like, go on the, like, fantasy, like, RPG section, or... Actually, there's no side-scroller I think you can find on Steam, like, as a category. From last time I checked. So you have to go, like, either action, hack and slash, or fantasy, or something like that. And you have to scroll so damn far down to find something like Soulstice. Just because this game is so, like, unpopular. It has so few ratings on Steam. I think I know of Gamer Angst. Yep. He does post quite often. I don't watch all of it, but I watch some of it. Especially when it's the new upcoming action games or whatever. Those ones I always check. I don't think I like 2D Metroidvania. I think it's very important for me that I have more of a immersive experience when I play like one of these like action games. And I don't really get that from 2D. Like, this game is actually on the very edge of where like I feel like I'm so little on the control, like in terms of like being able to like immerse myself in it, where I would still enjoy it, but it's like on the edge of where I'm kind of losing it a little bit. Because of like how far the camera is and like how it trails the player character, you know, being a side-scroller. Yes, okay, Lost. I think I've heard of that game, but I probably didn't add that to my list for some reason that I will definitely see if I go on Steam and I search for that name. Like, there's a lot of games there that I have just discarded because there is something in there, usually quite obvious, that I just did not like. But yeah, as I said, in class, Clash Artifacts of Chaos may be your alley quite well. Camera perspective is like God of War. Okay, I'm gonna check that game. Actually, I'm gonna check every game that you wrote, like right after I close the stream and eat something. So don't you worry if you're gonna come watch my stream again or whatever I might stream again, which is likely tomorrow. No idea at what hour. My schedule is very open on summertime, so you're not gonna find me at a certain hour to stream if, you know, you're gonna come here to chat or something. Part of Xeno Clash games, which were first-person brawlers. Alright, well, you haven't followed the stream yet, so if you're interested to come later tomorrow or something, then you might want to follow. And as I said, I was gonna stop the stream, and I still will, any moment now. Okay, yeah.